Hello everyone, it's me, your average bonehead, Jay. Poppy Playtime Chapter 2, A Fly in a Web. After the slam dunk success that was Chapter 1, it of course gave Mob Entertainment the green light to make more chapters. And 1 year later, we got Chapter 2, a chapter that is bigger and better than the original. But is it scarier and a genuine improvement? Yes and no in a way. Now, don't get me wrong, objectively speaking, Chapter 2 is better than Chapter 1, and I love it. But I think when you look at all the chapters overall, Chapter 2 kinda sticks out as this weird outlier of not being particularly important to the overall narrative, despite being very important to the overall narrative. Hopefully I can explain this in a way that makes sense, because short answer, this is a really good chapter. Long answer, let's get into it, shall we? So our chapter begins with a commercial for a new toy from the 90s, known as Mommy Longlegs.
Look, it's Mommy Longlegs, the coolest toy around. You can stretch your legs or hang her upside down. Try to twist and bend her in every kind of way. Now it's time to have some fun. Mommy Longlegs wants to play!
And I really like this commercial because right off the hop, it's showing that it's taking one of my biggest compliments from Chapter 1 and really rolling with it. And that is how real these toys actually feel. Showing kids playing with an actual prop of Mommy Longlegs really sells us on, yeah, this was a toy that is tangible, it's real, or was real at one point. But after that, we are told to wake up by Poppy, and we do, and the chapter truly begins where Chapter 1 left off. So we go around looking for Poppy. Poppy? Poppy, where are you? Poppy, stop hiding from me. Where the hell are you? Jesus!
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to scare you.
Don't do that.
I was just trying to get the power back on.
This is Poppy Playtime, the doll we rescued at the ending of Chapter 1 and the game's namesake. And she's actually kind of friendly, thanking us for saving her and wanting to help us escape by using a train in a place called the Game Station. So with no other options, I guess we just have to trust her. Though, can we trust her? Well, she is nice and seemingly childish.
As soon as you get on up here, while I'm still a doll.
There are some interesting things about her. I mean, just before we get introduced to her, we get to see the founder of Playtime Co, Elliot Ludwig's office. And in it, there's a tape that talks about him, mentioning how he lost someone very important to him. And considering the location of where we found Poppy, I don't think it takes a degree in rocket science to be able to put 2 and 2 together. Anyways, though, while we're here following Poppy, we are introduced to the new swinging mechanic, where, using our trusty grab pack, we can swing on these bars to get us to different locations. And this is the gameplay improvement I like. Yeah, overall, once again, the game is basically a walking simulator with a few more jump scares this time, but they did give you new tools to work with, and of course the first one is the swinging mechanic. It really does open up a new way of traversing. And on top of that, you can even pull yourself straight up in some areas, rather than just swing from platform to platform, allowing us to move better vertically and horizontally. And we will get something else later in the chapter, but I'll get there when we get there. Anyways, after following Poppy, we end up reaching this big hole, where she asks us to trust her right before she gets dragged by a pink-gloved hand down into the hole. Don't worry, Poppy, I'm coming after ya. And after going down this hole, which turns into a slide, we end up solving another puzzle and entering this long hallway to the game station, where the train is. And once we open this door, Jesus, bad touch. This is Mommy Longlegs. This freak combination of Betty Spaghetti and Spinel is our main antagonist of Chapter 2. And personally, she is my favorite of the bigger bodies. The voice acting on her is of course great, being our first antagonist with voice acting, but on top of that, her stretchy limbs gimmick actually really does help with making her a pretty scary antagonist, especially with how dangerous she can become because of it. In a way, it basically means she has her own grab pack on her 24/7, and we immediately see how well it works as she was able to take away our red hand. No, red hand! And on top of all of that, her design is just awesome. It's kind of funny how her name is Mommy Longlegs and she has this whole spider aesthetic going on, despite not actually having a spider aesthetic. The main thing she could do is climb on walls and shoot out webs, though we never actually see her doing the web part. But it's still a really, really great design. However, I will say one thing. I do think she is the least scary and unfortunately least impactful of the bigger bodies. And I think that comes down to the fact is she spends the whole chapter stalking us, but she's talking to us the whole time, observing us. We are fully aware and are meant to be fully aware of her presence. She acts more like a regular villain watching over us rather than how an apex predator stalks us. Basically, when compared to the bigger bodies both before and after her, she just doesn't leave as much impact. Both Huggy-Wuggy and Catnap stalk us in a way where they keep their distance from us and they're always just out of reach, and they basically don't, if at all, ever talk to us. While Doey, on the other hand, is meant to be more of a tragic character than an outright villain. Mommy, much like Doey in the future, is meant to be a ticking time bomb, getting more and more frustrated with us the more and more progress we make, until she finally snaps and outright tries to kill us herself. But, once again, because of how much time we actually spend with her, and while her design is cool, it doesn't 100% lend itself to being too particularly scary, at least compared to the others. She unfortunately leaves the least amount of horror impact in this horror game. Despite all of that though, as I said earlier, she is still my favorite of the bigger bodies, just from her design still being very cool, and me also really liking the elastic ability she has. But anyways, Mommy Longlegs, as mentioned earlier, steals our red hand and is the one who kidnapped Poppy, webbing her mouth shut so she can't fight back, and also now saying that she won't let us go unless we complete all 3 games in the game station: Musical Memory, Whack-a-Wuggy, and Statues. So after she leaves after threatening us,
Obey the rules, or I'll tear you apart and eat your insides while you're still alive.
the door to the game station opens and sweet Jesus Christ, the atmosphere! Yeah, the atmosphere that I praised in chapter 1 is being bench pressed here. Holy ravioli! The atmosphere from chapter 2 onwards is amazing. Each new major area we go to is even bigger than the last, and the game station is no slouch on this. This whole place has a look of a literal playground, helped because of all the playground stuff around, that you can actually interact with. God damn. And my favorite thing about it also, once again, is the artwork of the characters everywhere. It once again so expertly contrasts just how dead everything is around with how colorful and life-filled the artwork is. It's a perfect contrast that makes everything so eerie and unsettling. And to add to that atmosphere, there's even more voice acting than ever. All the toys from chapter 1 and in this chapter all have unique dialogue and voice acting, all provided from these cutouts that can be found from this point forward.
Does someone need a hug?
Click the button to feed me candy.
I know when your birthday is. June 28th.
That'd be really scary if you were Markiplier. And I haven't even mentioned the children's drawings everywhere, the special type of narration done by the intercom that's meant to go to the kids for completing the tasks. They do so much to make the absurd idea of the game station feel like a real place under the Playtime Co toy factory. And it is insane and very commendable. But anyways, now that we got all that out of the way, it's time to head off to our first minigame. But before we do that, we have to make the green hand. The green hand is our second major new gameplay gimmick, as it allows us to go to outlets and hold their electrical charge for 10 seconds, which we can use to temporarily activate other switches. So it opens up a whole new way of puzzle solving, though it's still no red hand. But now we get to experience the real gimmick of this chapter. Mommy Longlegs wants us to play 3 different mini games in order to give us the 3 different parts for the train code in order for us to finally leave this hellish toy factory. And the first one on our list is Musical Memory. Simon says, you are given a color combination that you must input using your grab pack by pushing the buttons in front of you. Luckily, all you have to focus on is the words that are being said to you, so this is very accessible for the colorblind, like myself. As each round goes on, the patterns get longer, faster, and they start throwing curveballs at you. And of course, to add endless tension, right above you is Bunzo Bunny, who will slowly lower down to you as you play the game. Luckily, by inputting the correct pattern, it will pull him back up, resetting his position. Though by screwing up, he will lower even quicker. Not to mention the fact that he's always coming down, so you have to move quickly. Screw up too many times or just take too long in general, and he will smash your face in with his cymbals. And you gotta survive this for 4 whole rounds. And quick random in-joke, my sister hates Bunzo. There's no reason whatsoever, she just utterly despises the guy. Like, if she had a gun, 2 bullets, and was trapped in a room with Bunzo, the guy in charge of Transformers 1's marketing, and scalpers, Bunzo's getting double tapped. That's how much she hates him. But anyways, after surviving 4 rounds, you enter round 5, and they start throwing this at you. But luckily, a kill switch appears, and you manage to break musical memory, and Bunzo is taken away. So Mommy Longlegs, who's kind of frustrated that you won, gives you a part of the code. And you end up getting to leave, though you have to go through the vents to get back. And during this, you hear... I'm sure that was nothing. But speaking of things you hear, when you're inside the infinitely atmospheric rejected toy room where you get to see a bunch of rejected toys, the music is amazing again. The music of chapter 2 and every chapter going on just improves on the last one. Listen to this. Then there's the kind of funny ones, like the music that plays when you're getting the instructions for the minigames. They don't do anything to calm my nerves. And by far, one of my favorite songs in the entire game has to be the one that plays right before you end up having to do battle with Mommy Longlegs. Them literally playing the Itsy Bitsy Spider, which is also the theme that was used for her commercial, tying together with her whole kinda sort of maybe spider theme that she has going on, is just excellent foreshadowing considering, once again, this is right before you do battle with her. After leaving the rejected toy room and doing a few more puzzles, as you re-enter the game station, you look up and see... Next time try a little harder then. And you can move on to the next minigame, Whack-a-Wuggy. After the hell he gave me last time, oh how gladly. This is, as you'd expect, just an elaborate game of whack-a-mole. You have to stand in the center of this dark room, and there are 18 holes, and as the game describes it, an adorable Huggy Wuggy plush could be in any of those 18 holes. And this is where the game's expert sound design really comes in, because these things will jump you. There's a lot of them, and they will attack at the same time, and you have to keep track of all of them. But luckily, since the game's audio is directional, you can actually hear with your headsets exactly where they are, which helps because good luck actually seeing them. I also like the fact that they growl right before they jump at you, which also helps as a good indicator of where these things are. Fun fact, this is also the only minigame that you actually have to complete normally. There is no cheating with this one, you have to survive a full 2 minutes against these things. And it is insane. Luckily you do, and Mommy Longlegs, who is getting even more frustrated with the fact that you haven't died yet, gives you, again, only a part of the code. Though 2 down, 1 to go. As we move on, we end up hearing... And then we enter this weird area where we see, oh my god, it's Kissy Missy? And she's not hostile? In fact, she ends up helping us by opening the gate, and then she just leaves. Interesting. I guess it is true that some of these toys are, in fact, on our side. Or at least want our help enough so that they don't want to rip us limb from limb. Anyways, you end up meeting another S-tier character in this, Barry. He's my best friend. As you end up having to solve a few more puzzles, and while I haven't really been talking about the VHSs that much, you do find a special one in this chapter where you get to learn a bit of lore from Jacksepticeye.
And some massive bloody thing was doddering about the bloody hallway.
Thing? You're sure it wasn't a person?
It's no person that's 50 feet long with 1,000 legs.
After that, Barry ends up going through this barrier and... But after that, you end up back in the game station and what can I say? Next time just try a little harder, guys. And now it's time for our last mini game, Statues, which honestly, despite it not being too scary, is the scariest thing in the game to me. Or at least it just freaks me out. The game is simply red light, green light, where you have to go through an obstacle course while the lights are off, but when the lights turn on, you gotta make sure you plant your feet down to the ground and do not move them. You can look around 360 degrees, but do not take a single step. Why? Because throughout the entire time you're running through this obstacle course, the lovable PJ Pugapillar, who also has some connection to Catbee, is chasing you the entire time. And this is where the audio, I think, perfectly works against me personally, because the sounds PJ makes as he walks to you just freak me the hell out. Jesus Christ, it feels like he's right on my ass. And he pretty much always is, because PJ has rubber band AI, meaning no matter how fast you actually go, PJ will always be a specific distance behind you, whether you run through the course or walk through it. The only two ways he'll catch you is if you just don't move ever, and he eventually catches up to you, or the more likely way, turns out you were moving. And what I love about it is that he doesn't just insta-kill you if you move, he guns it to you. You can actually see him bolting after you when you move, and it's freaky as hell. Though I will admit this is one of the more broken parts of the game. I haven't been mentioning glitches yet, but this chapter does have them, and I feel like it's the least fair here. Because while it didn't happen to me, it is possible to get stuck at the ending of the obstacle course, and also there's some weird jank going on, where apparently even if you don't click beforehand, just holding down the mouse apparently counts as moving even if you were holding onto it before the lights went out, and PJ will still kill you. I don't think that's particularly fair. But the part that is intentionally unfair is the end of the obstacle course is broken. It's destroyed, caved in, goodbye, kaput. There's no real way to clear it. Instead, you have to break the rules, and using your grab pack, grapple onto the bar above the window and use it to escape statues without actually getting the code, breaking the rules, causing Mommy Longlegs to freak out.
Mommy doesn't like cheaters. The rules are so simple. You die, Mommy gets to watch. Come back to me! How dare you disobey me! I will find you. I will find you. I will find you. Where are you?
And now I think would be a perfect time to explain some very important lore. Now, in these videos, I don't really want to get too much into the lore that isn't directly stated in the games. That's not really what I'm here to do. It's more so just my experience when playing the game, and some of the important lore things are kind of on outside ARGs, but I do feel like this one is something I need to mention. You probably noticed earlier in this video, rather than referring to Mommy Longlegs as a monster, I referred to her as a bigger body. And that's because that's exactly what all these monsters are. They are part of something known as the Bigger Bodies Initiative, which was something created by Playtime Co. You see, in an effort to save money on having to actually pay employees, Playtime Co. decided it would be much more cost effective to instead turn children into living toys to do all the work. So therefore, they wouldn't have to pay them at all. You know, it kind of figures that corporate greed is the reason for all these unholy abominations to be all over the place. Which, yeah, as you would probably guess, means that all of these monsters were children. And honestly, I think this is one of the more disturbing cases of children becoming the child mascot monsters trying to kill us. Because unlike something like FNAF where it was one guy just kind of stuffing the bodies into the animatronics so no one would find them and trace it back to him, these were calculated operations performed on the children, and when they became these bigger body toys, there was a good chance they wouldn't even survive, or if they did, they wouldn't have any cognitive ability. The worst case scenarios are the ones who do remember who they once were. And, as you'd expect, it made them all bitter, pissed off that this happened to them, causing all the toys to obey something known as the prototype, and eventually they rose up. How, you may ask? And how on earth did Playtime Co. amass that many children to turn into this many bigger bodies? Well, that's something we'll get into in the next chapter. But all you need to know is that yes, all of these bigger body toys that are trying to kill us were once innocent children who did not deserve this. And the reason why they hate you is because apparently you were an employee, and they do not like the employees. And I only really went into all this because Mommy Longlegs herself basically admits that all the torment she was causing to you, which would eventually lead to you dying, was because you were an employee, not just because you were some random intruder.
But you worked here. So if anyone deserves to die alone, it's you.
This really goes to show that you played some role in everything. But what is that role? Well, who we actually are playing as is still currently, to this day, a mystery. But it's a mystery that does lead to fun speculation. Now that all of that's done, we end up moving on, completing a few more puzzles, getting that beautiful rendition of the Itsy Bitsy Spider, and I think it's time for us to go crap! Well, my legs are broken. Oh well, nothing more we can do here. I guess it's time we should just try to escape. Holy Jesus Christ!
I asked you to play fair, and you cheated! I hate cheaters!
Yeah, it turns out Mommy Longlegs wasn't too happy about us escaping statues, and now she is pissed. Pissed right the hell off. And now, in her words, it's time to play one more game.
It's called hide and seek. 10, 9.
And now, the boss fight / chase against Mommy Longlegs begins. Go, just run, get the hell out of here. Throughout this segment, you have to solve a few puzzles. While technically you're not in any danger, after you solve the puzzle, Mommy Longlegs will come out of hiding and chase you down, causing you to have to find a spot to hide from her. The first chase involves you needing to just run back to the last puzzle and pull yourself up to where the solution for it once was. After a bit, she leaves, but no way in hell am I letting go until the music stops playing. Afterwards, you gotta solve another puzzle where you create this gear, and then Mommy Longlegs will chase you down again, meaning you have to hide in the furnace. My FNAF instincts are telling me that this is a horrible idea. Afterwards, you pull this lever and there's no more hiding. You just gotta run. And you get a pretty good chase with Mommy Longlegs as you end up having to escape these collapsing caverns and sewer system. And god damn it, she's too long! Eventually, you seemingly manage to escape her, and you enter this very long corridor, where you see one more hand scanner and... No, this is not fair, this is not fair, open, please, open. The door opens just in time and Mommy Longlegs bashes her way in, getting her hand stuck in a grinder. You pull the switch and...
What have you done? You make me part of you! You can't do this to me!
Killing her. But before you even get a chance to process what you just went through and did, you see the hand of what is confirmed to be the prototype take what's left of Mommy Longlegs' corpse away. I think we have a much bigger problem now. The door opens and you go and rescue Poppy, who is acting pretty cold and monotone. You end up receiving the last part of the code for the game station train, and it's time for you to escape. But of course, because there's still more chapters left, Poppy goes on this little speech and doesn't let you leave, saying that she needs you to do something for her. So she changes the track and forces you deeper into the Playtime Co factory. But unfortunately, one thing she didn't account for was the train causing confusion and delay and going out of control. You end up hitting the brakes and bust my buffers, we crashed. As you can see through the eyes of our character that we are laying just outside of a place called Playcare. Well, as long as there's no giant smiling purple cat in there that can put us to sleep or anything, I think we should be perfectly fine, god damn it. And the chapter ends on that note. If you couldn't tell, I love Chapter 2. In basically every way, it takes what Chapter 1 did and just improves upon it. For one, the game is longer, the atmosphere is amazing, the increased number of bigger bodies, the designs of these freaks in general. The gameplay is more varied while improving upon the core gameplay in general. The voice acting is great, the music is as breathtaking as ever, and it gives us more delightfully devilish lore implications that really does do a good job foreshadowing of the twisted, messed up, unnerving story that Mob Entertainment wants to tell, and I'm all here for it. Though, I hate to say it, this chapter is also the one I think I can actually criticize the most, because it does have one fatal flaw, and that's when compared to the other 3 chapters, it's not as scary as them. Yeah, there's more bigger bodies, and their designs are all awesome, but all of them seem pretty tame compared to what we deal with later on, especially Mommy Longlegs. My favorite design still isn't that scary of a design. She's creepy, and all of these guys have their moments, but it really feels like Chapter 2 was going to end up meeting the unfortunate fate of other mascot horror games, it realizing that children liked it. So they would play down to them, not make it as scary so kids will be willing to buy merchandise of these characters. It's no coincidence that the title screen of this game now has a button that will take you right to their store. Now, I'm not against merchandise of mascot horror characters, or horror characters in general, otherwise we'd all be hypocrites now, wouldn't we? But it really ended up feeling that for a brief moment between chapters 2 and 3, that was Mob Entertainment's bottom line. Just making a mascot horror game that focused on creating colorful mascots for children to buy toys of, rather than making a mascot horror game that actually focused on being legitimately scary and telling an intriguingly dark story. And while yeah, the story is still dark and there were freaky moments in this game, it just really felt like they wanted to play down to kids for the sake of selling toys, which is hilariously hypocritical considering the story that this game is trying to tell. It was getting to the point that I was beginning to become very, very worried about what would happen to Poppy Playtime when I ended up seeing their merchandise for these guys in Walmart and I heard little kids recognizing the characters. The secondhand embarrassment I got from that was unmeasurable. Like, come on guys, I know you're better than this. Luckily, chapters 3 and even chapter 4 managed to prove me wrong, and I'm really happy for that, but it does end up leaving chapter 2 in a very awkward position. It's simultaneously one of the most important chapters for being such a big step for this game, but it also ends up leaving it feel like the black sheep of Poppy Playtime. Ironic, because 4 is the one with the black sheep. But luckily, there is still a major compliment I can give. This game, as mentioned before, was a very important and big step for Poppy Playtime to prove that the game wasn't just a one-trick pony and come up with new and engaging gameplay, as well as intriguing characters and an engaging story. And considering how that's what Chapter 2 really set out to do, I say they passed with flying colors. And it did work in the long run, because they used everything they learned from Chapter 2 for Chapter 3 to craft, in my eyes, one of the best mascot horror experiences that will leave you, the player, with a big, creepy smile.
Only one thing appears glaringly certain. Your children are not safe with catnap.
Stay tuned for the next one. Now, I'm your average bonehead Jay, and I wish you all good night. Oh, you're still here. Well, since you stuck around for this long, you might as well like and subscribe, comment if you're feeling really daring. And while you're at it, you might as well follow me on Twitter and Instagram at jayskeletyn. Links down below. And if you just want to see more, you can check out the playlists or look at my last video. Now thanks for watching, and if you need me, I'm going back to bed